What's going on, guys? Brandon Toby Cersei here, going over Chapter 7, Critical Thinking Question 2. Are you a video game player? If so, what is your reaction to the research presented in this chapter? If you think it does not apply to you, why is that? What about your friends? Is it possible you are engaging in a third person effect discussed in Chapter 1? Do you draw a distinction between different kinds of game or gameplay when you consider the issues of effect? I am a video game player. I played video games for a long time, still play them today with friends. My reaction to the research presented in this chapter, it's not shocking. This has been an ongoing theme, criticism, whatever you want to call it, against video games for 20 years now, 30 years actually, since Mortal Kombat came out in the early 90s, and you follow it with Columbine, and the reason being blamed was video game violence at the time. But I know this chapter goes into a little bit more details that I can have a little bit more emphasis on. So, like, the social cognitive theory links violent video game playing to aggressions from players. And the main difference between social cognitive theory with television and video games is with video game playing, it's more hands-on. So you're controlling the aggression that you do in video games compared to TV shows or movies. You're just watching it happen. So you don't have any control of you have control of watching it, but you're not controlling the main character, protagonist, or anything like that. And so that's all part of the social cognitive theory. And then, do I think it applies to me? No, I do not. I'm a pretty cool person. Cool as a cucumber, to be honest. I'm not very aggressive unless it's involving sports. And I know that we go into desensitization, which is, let me follow up. It's a part of the aggressive cues. Carnegie, Anderson, and Bushman demonstrated that 20 minutes of video game play can produce desensitization of seeing the same type of stuff in the real world. And I can play video games of like a Call of Duty game that's a violent video game, and I am very sensitive seeing that stuff on television, news. And so I believe that is one of my things where I don't believe I am affected by it as much as some. But then the very next question, do I have friends? And I do believe that to be the case. I believe some are desensitized. And they also follow up in the similarity or wishful identification that's followed up by Bushman, Collagen, and Bijvank, where similarity is you just see yourself in characters like, oh, same race, same sex, anything along those lines. Oh, they're a military member, I was a military member, stuff like that. But then there's wishful identification, where you go above and beyond. You mimic their reaction. You can create yourself in the video game to be the main character, and so you start taking what they are and put it into the real world, which can lead to mimicking what you see, which falls under observational learning as well, where you're just mimicking what they see. And so if you're taught to be aggressive in the game, and you mimic that through and through, you're going to be aggressive in the real world. Next question. Is it possible you're engaging in third-person affect? It is discussed in Chapter 1, and third-person affect is the belief that other people are much more likely to be influenced by media. Some people might need to be protected from media influence since they're not as smart as we are. I believe that is true. So there are kids, because obviously the brain waves, they haven't matured all the way. And so if they're playing violent video games, it shouldn't be a shock that they start using that and they are influenced by the video games they see, and they use it in the classroom or anything like that. So you have to be able to protect them from themselves, just because they can't fully comprehend everything yet what they're seeing. Let's see, next question. Where was it at? Do you draw a distinction between different kinds of games and gameplay when you consider the side effects? I believe you'd have to, just because sometimes some games are very cartoony, and so I mean there's still violence in them, but at the same time there's real world video games that are just as violent. So it's easier to get caught up and lose yourself in a real world version of a video game compared to a cartoon version. So I believe you can separate that. There's also issues where they're called the weapons effect, where there's realistic gun controllers. I know there's a game called Sniper Scope where you're in an arcade where you're on a giant sniper looking through a scope and all that. And that can also fall under observational learning, where you've never shot one in real life, but you would know how to simply by seeing it from the video game or doing it from the video game. I touched on aggressive cues, and also want to touch on the contextual variables as well that Bandura summed up. Reward punishment in video games. You are rewarded for your aggression in games like video games like Doom, where you're going around just destroying aliens, gaining more points, or they call it XP experience points now. And last but not least, there's the general aggression model, which is applied to video games, where you basically start off that repeated video game playing allows the person to learn, rehearse, and reinforce their aggression, and that can lead to either aggressive attitudes or being just desensitized in general, and that in turn can lead to an increase in aggressive personality, or there can be a situation where their aggression comes out. So it all varies along those lines. A little over, so I need to get out of here, guys. But I hope you have a great weekend, and I will talk to y'all soon. Thanks.